When life gives you lemons, you have to make lemonade. Pink lemonade. So a lot of times when you're doing your shoots, things go wrong. It's going to happen. It happens every shoot. Now, as a filmmaker, you have to make that work regardless of whatever situation you're put in. Now, that is a better lesson to learn when you have no dollar budget. So when you have a lot of money involved in a project and you have clients and everyone else, you're used to making things work when you have $0 budget. Now you can make things work when you actually have budget. So it happens so many times on our shoots where things go unexpected. As a filmmaker, I can't say, well, this is my vision, it has to be this way, when there is no solution. So a year ago, we were doing a video with Citibank, and we had this concept of a rope swing on a hot air balloon into the water. We were set with that idea. We were going to do that. Now, we actually went out to Las Vegas, our entire crew, to film this video, and the wind was too violent. I'll use the word violent. It wasn't really violent, but the wind was too much, so we actually couldn't shoot the idea we wanted. Now, we had the client there, our whole team had driven all the way out there, and we still couldn't film that video, yet we had a deadline that we had to meet no matter what, because that campaign was going to happen soon, so we had to make it work regardless. So how do we make it work when it couldn't actually work? Well, after doing that for several different days, we decided we have to cancel this shoot, but we're going to come back next week and we're going to make it work with a different concept that's still similar. So we had to make that work with the actual company. So we talked to Citibank and everyone else that was involved with that, and we pitched something very similar, but it was something much more practical where we didn't have to depend on the wind as much. It was still a factor, but it wasn't the determining factor as far as having such an influence on what we were doing.
We have a full day of filming, and for the first time since we've been here, there's zero wind.
So even though we were put in this awful circumstance, we still had to make it work. Now, for that project, Seth was overseeing that project, and he had to figure out too, how am I going to make this work? So I'm going to have him talk a little bit about that with his viewpoint on how he made that project work when it was basically impossible. And I think this is a really important lesson for everyone watching to know that things aren't perfect for us. Things, most of the time, 99.9% of the time, go wrong. So you just have to figure out a way to make it work. So let's hear from Seth.
Like Devin was saying, things are not going to go perfect all the time. One of the biggest things you have to do as a filmmaker or producer is you have to be willing to evolve with the situation. So what we did to evolve with this situation was we took our original concept, we made a couple minor tweaks, and then we contacted the brand. We said, hey, we're running into some issues with the weather. We want to fall into your timeline and make sure we still follow through on everything that we've promised. However, there's just going to be these few changes. We talked to the brand, they were all for it. So the next thing that we had to do was we head back down to Las Vegas. We had to find a location where the wind wouldn't be quite as big of a factor for us. So what we did was we found a dry lake bed out kind of in the middle of nowhere where the mountains were a little bit further off and the wind wouldn't quite swirl as much, so that we could make sure that we still got the hot air balloons up in the air in a safe way, and we could still attach them to the ground in a safe way.
So that's our video on how to make things work when things go wrong. So it's more about figuring out a solution. The more you do that, the better you'll get and the faster you'll get as far as getting quick on your feet. And just know the more people you have by your side that you trust, the more you'll have ideas you can bounce back and forth, and just find the right people to surround yourself with to make these projects happen, because things will fall apart. You'll have to make it work, and if you have a team behind you that you trust, you can make that work together where it doesn't all fall on one person's shoulders. So even me as a director on certain shoots, if I don't have the answer, it's okay for me to let people know I don't have the answer right now. I will figure this out, and then you bring on the right people to help you make the best project possible by figuring out solutions. So know that everyone is going to fall into this regardless of how much money you put into their project or the right people. You have to work with the situation you're put in, and you have to make the best out of it. So that's how to make lemonade with lemons. Thanks so much for watching. Over and out.
Yeah. Wham, bam, super tramp. And I tipping up my hat while I boost the fans. And I hover up top, can you feel the noise? All the girls scream now cause they want the boys. Yo, making all the clouds looking like a big joke. When I run so fast and I sing so low, and you never wanna mess with me. You're just dissing me, I just set me free, so just stop.